Welcome to episode 5 of This Should Have Been a Phone Call. I'm Stevie, and I'm back from my absence last time, but in my place, we've lost Shane and Andrew. So we're just doing this with Tony and Marv at the moment, and maybe Andrew will come in midway through.
Maybe Shane will. Who knows?
Maybe Shane will. Yeah, we don't know what they're up to.
Can't believe we hit 5.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, fifth. Yeah, no, that's quite something. I didn't think we were going to make it past 2, but who knows? So today we're going to talk about something very specific and then maybe broaden into other things as they arise. So we're going to talk about a thing I did. So one of the things that I mentioned before is that I'm an engineer, and one of the ways that engineers do things is they come up with what's called a dimensionless coefficient. So like velocity has the dimension of meters per second, but the Mach number of a flow has no units, so it's the velocity of the flow over the speed of sound, both of which have units for meters per second.
Okay, let's back up for a minute. For those of us that aren't engineers.
It's okay, I got you. I am not an engineer. I will be the voice of the people.
Yeah,
okay?
Mars is the voice of the people. So what is not clear right now?
It's not clear. What's a coefficient?
It's just a value.
Okay.
It's just a number. So does it? I'm assuming.
You explain the gist of your experiment in like layman's terms.
Well, the methodology. I'm trying to explain.
First things first. That's already a really big word.
Because what I did doesn't make any sense unless you know why I did it, and that's what I'm trying to explain.
Why'd you do it?
So if everybody knows, I assume what a Mach number is. It's how many times the speed of sound you're moving at. So what that does is allows you to talk about, so your Mach number is the same whether you think about speed in miles per hour or meters per second or whatever. And so what it does is it allows you to compare the properties of something in different situations, right? So a Mach number of a flow in a tiny little wind tunnel can be compared to the Mach number of a fighter jet because there's no dimensions. You guys follow me?
Not really.
Yes. Actually, yes, okay. I do follow you.
All right, cool. So you'll be shocked to learn I am bad at basketball because I spent all my time learning about Mach numbers and dimensionless coefficients. So I am bad at basketball. I'm really bad at making a basket. And it occurred to me that when I was playing one day, because I have a basketball hoop in my driveway, that it seems like making a basket is a really difficult thing to do. You're throwing a ball a pretty long distance, and you have to get it. The ball itself is really wide relative to the width of the target, so you have to be pretty precise. So one of the things that I am good at is I play Quidditch, and the gist of that game is you throw a volleyball through a hoop and you score. And that is similar sort of to basketball, but I'm much better at that. And so I wanted to quantify, okay, how relatively difficult is it to make a basket versus, throw a quaffle through a hoop with the Quidditch ball, throw a ball through a hoop, or for that matter, kick a soccer ball into a soccer goal, kick out or hit a hockey puck into a hockey net. So that's what I set out to do. So do you guys have the sheet in front of you?
I do.
Either of you? Okay. So
I don't need to.
Yeah.
Confused either way.
Yeah. So what I did is I came up with a dimensionless coefficient. So what that is a value for different situations. And it doesn't have any dimensions, but you can compare different throwing. I think I called it a projectile coefficient. So different, modes of trying to throw something, and it doesn't have any units. So I can get into the weeds. But basically what I did is I took the area of the target area, the distance between the target, like the distance you actually have to throw the thing, and then the size of the projectile itself. And so it's what the coefficient is the distance squared times the area of the projectile over the target area squared. And so if you follow me, that's length squared times length squared over, anyway. It's a lot of units of length, but they all cancel out. And so what you can do is you can take a basketball shot, and that's all measured in inches and feet, and you can compare it to something that's measured in meters, measured in yards, and you get interesting findings. So the other thing is, the one I did first was an inclusive area. So you have to make the full basketball into the basketball net, or into the basketball hoop, to score, right? If you're outside. So that is why the projectile area matters. And so what I did is I simplified that. I converted it to, instead of using the area, I used the just a characteristic length. So what a characteristic length is usually a dimension of something, but isn't like, so what I did, so a characteristic length of the projectile would be like the diameter of the basketball, and then the characteristic length of the target of the hoop would be the diameter of the hoop. For a soccer shot, I used the diagonal of the goal because it's rectangular, and then I'm trying to think if there's any. I don't think there was anything else. It was diameters and cross sections for circular and square targets. And then for a hockey puck, I used the diagonal of the rectangular cross section of the hockey puck. So I put a lot of time into this. Mm-hmm. And then so the other reason I broke it down into characteristic length is that allowed me to take into account other situations when you don't need to get the projectile fully in the target area. And there was actually math that I did. So anyway, so I like the alternate one with the characteristic length more because I was able to sort of justify that. So that one, by the way, is distance to the target times the projectile length over the target squared. And so how I got that was I figured, okay, distance over target is a good starting point, and then the ratio of the projectile to the target also is a good starting point, and I just multiplied those two together. And then the way I did the other one where you don't have to get the projectile into the target area is I calculated what would be the target area if you assumed you did have to get the projectile into the area. So obviously that would mean like a soccer goal with the width of a soccer ball extending out in every direction. Or that's not a good example, but like a archery target with the width of an arrow extending out in every direction. So you get a bigger target, and I was able to come up with a different formula for that.
Okay.
So Marvin, as our layman, do you follow everything I'm saying?
Surprisingly, yes.
Okay, cool. So we can go through some of the values. So I'm gonna shy away from the super complicated one and just do the simplified one with the characteristic length. So what I found, and I found this very interesting. So to get a hole-in-one and an average PGA, so let's start with the basketball. So to make a free throw in basketball, got a value of a 5, just to start with, and then a 3-point got a value of an 8. So that's why. So that gives you an idea of how the difference is. And I found that if you map it on a log scale, you get more interesting results. So to hit someone with a dodgeball squarely is a 0.9, and then to make a beer pong shot is an 8. So those are all roughly in the same area. And then so to make a shot on an open hockey goal from one of the blue lines was a 0.3. Let's see. So one of the ones I was surprised was to make a baseball pitch into the strike zone was only a 0.02, which seemed really low. But what was interesting is if you don't use if you use the original one where you're using the areas, that jumps up to a 20, which is higher than the hockey shot, which stays in the decimal points. So get some weird variation, and I think the issue is mostly the size of the projectile, because
May I interject?
yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, size might be a factor, but also weight,
I didn't take into account weight.
as well as these are like uh direct like bodily contact, whereas others are like there's like a stick.
Yeah, so I mean, I see your point. So I think you're getting ahead of it. So that there's definitely factors that I don't take into account, but what I was saying is between the different methods of there was variation already, and I was looking at why that was the case. So like, yeah, it's probably harder to do, to hit a puck into a hockey goal than maybe this shows, but that there's variation, or there's actually less variation between the different methods. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm kind of rambling.
I have a question.
Yeah, my point was the relative difficulties change somewhat depending on the method, which is something that is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned like you graphed things out on a log scale, but how did you get a single number for like making a shot in beer pong?
So I did go over the methodology a little bit. So let's start with the normal method. So I took the area of the cross sectional area of the beer pong. So the diameter or the radius of the ping pong ball squared times pi.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cross sectional area of a red Solo cup, which is online, and then the standard distance of a beer pong table, which is also online because people take beer pong very seriously. And so I threw that into the formula that I talked about, which is distance squared times projectile area over target area squared, and then ended up with a value of 80.
Okay. So you ballpark, not necessarily ballpark, but you found information for the set lengths and then just plugged them into the formula. Okay.
Yeah.
Because my mathematician brain goes, well, you've got how many? 3 variables? How do you get a single number out of that? And I don't know.
Multiplied them all together.
Yeah,
divided and multiplied together. So yeah, I mean, I guess what I was trying to do to start with is explain what I was doing. And for the sake of finishing that up. So a golf shot was orders of magnitude. So the other one that I did was the pro golf tournament hole in one. Use the average distance of a hole, and that was like 3 orders of magnitude higher than the next closest value on any method. So props to the golfers out there who have ever made a hole in one. It's much harder. But so now that that's taken care of, I would totally be interested to hear your guys' takes on flaws, improvements. Tony, you're actually looking at the data. So one thing I was interested in, there's actually a graph. If you go to tab 2 and go over, that's a pretty easy representation between the two methods and then between the different things. What I'm curious of is how well this stuff seems to map the sort of perceived, like, I think we all know a hole in one in golf is really hard, so it makes sense that that's much higher. So how these other relative difficulties seem to map our actual experiences.
Did you map the probability of like shots happening? It's like I know for like the NBA, right? There's percentages over like all players of how many threes get made, how many free throws get made, etc.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you could like tabulate that to shots. That's all shots in like soccer leagues, right? Not even on goal. All shots.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. So the issue with that is you get a lot of other factors. So like a basketball shot, and I think an even better example is you're never shooting on an open goal in hockey, like almost never.
Soccer, yeah.
or soccer, or in basketball, you're shooting under pressure. So this isn't so much how hard it is to do in the situation, but the physical act of getting a basketball through a basketball hoop,
That makes
versus
sense.
the
Okay.
act,
Yeah.
which
Makes
I mean,
sense. That makes sense.
I could definitely expand the science, but um, uh, I don't know. So I did this just as a curiosity, and then just to justify that, yeah, basketball is relatively hard, which is not, well, just more or
That's
less
a
what
pretty
I
common
found.
assumption.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It's more
So
finesse-based sports.
yeah, so that's what I was focusing on right now, and I think that's what we should talk about at the moment, and then we can definitely talk about where to go from here. If if anybody's listening. Also, I haven't gotten into so I did for the other method where it just has to be, I did dart bullseye, Olympic archery bullseye, hitting a pool pool cue, and hitting a person with a dodgeball again. So we can talk about that too, but let's focus right now on what you think of the data, and then we can go like into the future, and then we can go anywhere else. But just to not get too far from where we started too fast.
Um,
Hey, could you send me the data of you?
it's
Yeah.
if you go into
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
general, I think.
Is it really?
the general
Yeah.
Discord, if you scroll up a little bit.
Yep.
I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tony, did you have anything? Did you have something to say? I feel like we're starting.
I don't know. I'm wondering how you can generalize this into like a probability distribution.
I mean,
If that, or if that's like even possible.
I don't think that's how that. I don't think that's how that would work. I mean, you'd know
Yeah.
better being a mathematician, but this isn't probability. This is just supposed to be.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what you could do, and I think this is what I'm suggesting, you could compare this to actual statistics to see how well. I mean, conceivably, this has some predictability power, and you could see, okay, how well does each number reflect the actual difficulty of making a shot. So I think that's legit. But I wouldn't ever claim that this has any relation to probability on its own. It might, but I don't think you could bring this into probability because there's no sample size. Like there's no data here. This is analytical, not statistical.
That's fair. I don't know.
And
Also,
analytical in big air quotes.
yeah. I mean, also, just the way my brain works is the second you start throwing units and shit at me, like for a math person, I'm terrible
Yeah,
at working
yeah,
with units and this kind of stuff.
yeah. I gotcha.
So I'm like still reading over the data and trying to follow exactly what you did.
Yeah, I mean, if it's confused, so the first tab has the methodology, and I tried to make it clear, but yeah, it's a little complicated. Or not complicated. It's a little convoluted. I understand, and if the methodology, I mean, this is actually how I approach this is actually a way I was taught in school. So if you don't, if that's not something you're used to, it's kind of weird. But yeah,
That's interesting though. I like it.
so yeah, a simpler way to do it might just be target area and distance. Like if you just look at that, which I should have done just as a baseline, but I think that's a much more intuitive way to look at. Like, okay, how hard is it? Okay, well, you have to get it across the distance, so that should be something, and you have to get it into the target area, and so how does that? What's that ratio? Which might be some. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely I don't know. It's definitely a convoluted approach to sports, but that's not a new thing to sports. So I felt, just.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. Because I took a data science class a couple semesters ago, and like the final project was analyze some data, and I don't remember which sport or organization, but I know it might be like a few of them have like their own index for player value or like worth. or
So
like
it's probably
skill.
basketball or football.
Yeah, it's one of the two, but it's like I don't. They've got probably some crazy formula that takes in all of like their stats and just spits out a single number, which I think is really cool.
You recall if it
Yeah.
was like 0 to 50?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, I know like
0 to 30.
ELO rankings, I think started with chess, and then they expanded it, and I think soccer does it, and other sports. Well, and that's for teams, not individual players.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing where they'll take in all the wins, losses, margins, and other performance factors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So that was my Marvin. Do you have any takeaway now that you've actually got the spreadsheet?
I might bring that dodgeball distance down a little bit.
Dodgeball distance.
50 feet seems like a
50
very large
feet.
gym. Yeah, that seems like a. How many yards is 50 feet?
Divide that by 3.
Yeah, so,
16. Okay.
like 6. Yeah,
How big was high school gym?
16 yards.
Well, I mean,
Give or
if you guys want to throw back to middle school basketball or dodgeball, we would just play on a basketball court.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
right now.
So I guess what's
feel like
what's the
I think
length
you
of a
could bump
basketball
that
court?
down to 30 feet for like a more average experience. Because 50 feet would be like sniping someone from like back
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is it's still not very hard. Like it's still not at all difficult to do. It's easier on both metrics. I got really, really, really low values, which I thought was interesting.
I thought baseball.
I think I may have.
I think the one that sent the one that sent out to me is the baseball pitch in the strike zone. As being appears to be very easy.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that so you're looking at assume at SPCI alternate, which is
Looking at both, and
inclusive.
they both seem very low. Yeah.
Well, 45 is what it is for the normal one. That seemed right because it's. Oh wait, no, that's 20. Yeah, you're right.
That's 20. It's seems low.
That does seem low. Yeah.
Think about it, right? The velocity you have to rank that at.
Yeah. I think the mistake that I made is target air. I don't know. Actually, I don't want to speculate because I noticed the ones that seem low are the hockey.
It's the small thing into a relatively big area.
Yeah.
The hockey one.
Baseball pitch relatively big.
Where's the strike? How big is the strike zone?
It's relatively small. I mean, you can look; it's on the sheet somewhere. But
it looks to be about 3 or 4 feet high.
Yeah.
About a foot and a half wide. And seeing as a baseball, it's like much smaller than that. I can see why. I can see why the teams and like the hockey one makes sense because the hockey goal is pretty big.
Yeah.
The puck is very
absolutely.
Small.
Yeah.
Again, I think the real life difficulty on that is a little higher than it probably should be.
Yeah.
Huh. Something else you might want to consider is like for the beer pong example, when you're playing beer pong, you're not dropping the ball directly into the cup. It's got an angle to it, which is gonna skew your usable area.
Your surface area. Yeah.
So
you're also doing that with basketball.
Right? Yeah, anything with an arc like that. So I mean, that's gonna throw in some crazy.
Quaffle too, right? Actually, no, all of these.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, all of them. I mean, you're very rarely only like hockey, soccer, really getting. You'll quaffle a little bit also, and baseball. Would you get a straight shot?
Mm-hmm.
Hole in one absolutely is at an angle, but yeah, I think I honestly my takeaway is I would probably have gotten representative values if I had just done distance squared over target area, which I want to do since all of this is here, but I don't have my computer in front of me. So I might do that once we're done with this. But
all right.
All right. Well, thanks for your feedback, guys.
Sure.
I'm good to shift gears if anyone has something else. I also feel bad that we spent half an hour talking about something that no one in our audience see.
I don't know. I mean, this is all reminding me of like my data science project where I approximated pi. Did I ever show you guys that?
Yeah, you did, I think.
Um,
You talked about it. I don't know if you ever showed us the actual...
well,
Because
it's
your method was kind of whack, wasn't it?
that was the whole point of it. Was being super whack. No, like I can't really send it to you guys because it's in the Jupyter notebook. But
Okay.
or I could just send you the
Sounds
notebook.
really fancy.
It's just an interactive PDF, basically.
I want a Jupyter notebook. Jesus.
No, but like, because I was a mathematician in a data science class, and I hate approximating shit. So, like, the professor and I had a very hard time coming to common ground on a project I could do. Let me actually pull it up on my end at least, so I can talk about it. But my project was approximating pi in the worst way possible. Basically, I did 3 different ways. One was just a classic Monte Carlo approximation, which is it's like you draw a circle inside a square and then count how many points are in the circle or outside of the circle. And then that gives you pi over 4. And yeah.
Wait, you draw a square?
Or no, I'm sorry.
What?
We can talk about this later because I have to like reread my whole project.
Yeah,
and,
you got to remember what you said.
Yeah.
I feel that.
But not
That's
like
funny.
yeah. There's some crazy stuff in here. Here's my recommendation for the podcast. Go look up Matt Parker. He's a YouTube math guy, and
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of him.
every March 14th for Pi Day, he does a different approximation of pi, and this is where I was heavily inspired by him for this. So if you go look up his thing about doing it with dice and like the coprime method, that's one way I did it. And then I also did something called Buffon's Needle.
Oh, I like that part.
But yeah, I would highly recommend you guys go look that up. But yeah, pi shows up in very odd places, and so does E actually. But
I do love me some pie. Eat a pie right now.
Marvin,
All right, so just a fun fact for our non-mathematically inclined viewers, of whom I assume none are left. Matt Parker and his wife have wedding rings from iron that was from...
Wait, that was from
Which
what?
I thought was...
You
The iron that was from a... Matt Parker, who's the YouTuber you're talking about, he and his wife have wedding rings of iron from a meteor. Made out of iron from a meteor.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It's a very
nerdy thing to do.
Yeah, very nerdy thing to do. But like, actually cool too.
Remember my name somewhere in there? Oh, was someone?
Yeah, Tony was about to.
Or I was gonna say, Marvin, what do you want to talk about? Because I feel bad that we.
What I want to talk about? I'll talk about anything. I'm just.
That's what I like about you.
The interaction is scant at the moment. So
yeah, damn straight.
I just mixed up the words scant and scarce into one word. I apologize.
They're mostly the same word. What did you say?
Scant.
Oh, Gant?
It's scant. Like scant and scarce into scant.
Oh, scant.
I think a scant is the word.
I like that. So let's talk about that. What are some of our favorite words that originated as combinations of other words? And I can't remember what the word for that actually is, but
Homologation.
Amalgamations.
Amalgamation.
I have no
Amalgamin.
idea.
I don't know.
That
Yeah,
sounds right.
we're STEM people. We don't know.
I have no excuse.
But the one that sprang to mind for me was ginormous, because I feel like that is a
Giant and
really
enormous.
solid word. Yeah.
I recall trying to use that word on a paper in elementary school.
I feel
Google
like that's
Docs would not let
if
me.
you were a dick, that's the kind of word you use to separate your fancy people from your not fancy people.
I think it was a paper on bugs, and I was trying
Yeah.
to express how big the centipede was.
Yeah, it's a ginormous Oh
Yeah.
god, I have a phobia of centipedes.
The word would not let me use the word, so
That's funny.
I think I like spork.
Spork? Yeah.
Big fan of
Mhm.
spork.
Well, okay, so let me cut you off there. Is a spork, so technically it is a combination of the word spoon and fork, but only because it is a word for a thing that is a combination of a spoon and a fork. So that is actually its own thing, words that are what they mean. But is that, I feel like that's almost in a different category though, because I don't know. That's weird, but
This is the flower rose argument.
What?
is what?
Like a rose is a flower, but all flowers are not roses.
Oh,
I
squares and
guess.
rectangles. Got
Like,
you.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
spork-
thumbs and
yeah,
fingers. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
that's legit. Yeah.
Well,
In that like category where it's like words like spork fall under the category of words like ginormous.
Yeah.
But
I
that
guess.
broke my brain for a second.
do abbreviations count?
Sure,
I
why
would-
not?
Then
I would say no, actually. The opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here.
What's your abbreviation? Let's see
What's
if
your
it counts.
What's your example?
yanked.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, it counts. That's not.
What'd you say?
Yanked.
Yeah,
You
ain't.
all have
What?
not.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I don't.
Wait, let me write it out so I can
No.
make sure.
What language are you speaking?
He's speaking
Southern.
Latin?
No, Yant.
I'm not making your
Yeah,
point
Y
any better here. Yeah.
apostrophe A-I-N-T. Yeah, A-I-N apostrophe T. It's one of the few words with two apostrophes in it.
That's not allowed.
I don't know. I feel like it's also, so just to be clear, an abbreviation is a word with a dot at the end.
It's a contraction.
That is a double contraction.
That's a contraction. Yeah.
Oh my god, you're right. God.
I would argue that's slang.
It is.
Mhm.
A lot of
Like-
contractions are slang, yeah.
Very purely like that doesn't fall under like the amalgamation words that we're trying to like.
Yeah,
it's just
that's
like-
what, yeah.
It should be
I'm gonna-
called an amalgamin, but I don't think it is.
I think you're right. Two words.
That'd be cool. Amalgamin is not a word, but
Sure.
like an
It's a
amalgam.
portmanteau.
Yeah, it's one of the. Yeah, it doesn't suggest that that's what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's right.
portmanteau. Like smog, smoke and fog, hotel,
Smog. Yeah.
order and hotel, etc.
So smog is like sport, where the word itself is a combination of two words that the thing is a combination of.
Wait, what? Wait, what's sport?
Spork.
Oh, yeah.
Which now that I've realized that makes me uncomfortable, but
Spoon and fork.
yeah.
Smoke and fog. Right, it's a great tool.
I guess. But yeah. So this may seem out of place, but I want this podcast to be titled Stoner Thoughts.
All right, we can make that work.
Or Sober Stoner. Gotta make it clear that
Oh, just
this is not
sober
chemically
thoughts.
aided. Yeah, Sober Thoughts.
Sober.
Ugh. Stoberg. There you go.
I portmanteau stoner, and so that's
Oh, dude.
That's the
Quarantine
second time
day
you've done that,
53.
Mark.
quarantine day 53.
Is that what we're on right now?
That's a complete guess.
I
think it might be a little longer.
I know
at
we're
this point,
past
but
50. 50 was like a week or so ago.
then we're
Yes.
like 58 or
We're
something.
past 50. So it was, all of April have the so
I don't know. We're coming up on and a half.
So I'm fascinated by the seemingly unrelated milestones that we're passing. Like, we're going to be in quarantine longer than, X historical period. The big terrifying one was that this virus has now killed more Americans than the Vietnam War, which I thought was incredibly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Kind of frightening.
Plagues tend to kill a lot of people. It's just kind of how viruses work.
Well, that war went on for like 7 years, and things been going on so it bodes ill. But yeah.
It's a dark milestone. Jesus Christ.
It is.
Good lord.
It's really dark.
I think the bigger thing was that when we cleared I forget which major disease in the past, like worldwide cases past that, and I was like, oh shit, that's alarming.
It wasn't the Spanish flu, was it?
I would sincerely hope not,
because that's the big comparison. But yeah, that was a plague for like 3 years, so hopefully we're not
which is
territory.
The general concern right now.
Yeah.
I mean, modern medicine has improved significantly, so
yeah.
But
unfortunately, modern society hasn't. So
that's heavily debated.
I mean,
that's not even a debate. That's just.
I mean, it clearly has, but not.
Well, it's just people are still dumb. Is the argument?
Yeah. Society has. People haven't.
The issue is that one person can ruin it for everybody else. It's like kindergarten all over again.
Well, not really. I mean,
yes, it's that one asshole that keeps talking during class and ruins recess for everybody.
I don't know. I feel like it has to be a fraction of people that ruin it. Like, one person can't, but it's like vaccines are the same way. One person isn't going to screw it up, but like 15% of the people are going to screw it up for the rest of us. I feel like we know exactly how many people we have to blame. But on the other hand, German soccer has resumed, or is about to resume. So that seems like good news.
I would just love school to resume in the fall. I want. That's the milestone.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That's the milestone I'm trying to hit. So if we could all stop being idiots for like the next 3 months, that'd be great.
I'm trying to play Quidditch this summer, and I wouldn't
bet on that.
Yeah.
I know. So there's a team that I tried out for twice and didn't get into twice, and I finally got on it, and now we're not gonna play a single game.
Basically, anything before like mid-August, I would basically like wash. It's a wash at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I mean, we've decided as a country that we are done quarantining, so.
No, I'd say
ridiculously
not doing it, but going back to work.
You know what? Fine.
I'd be curious if our lockdown gets extended past the May one. Like the current executive order, I think, extends until May. I'm curious if she extends it.
Ours is up the 15th, and he hasn't said anything about it yet.
The 15th? That's in 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah.
I have homework due on the 15th.
I have a final.
You have a final?
Wait, are you still in your spring semester?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
I have class tomorrow.
Marvin,
I have class tomorrow.
I do too, but it's for the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because we used to start like way after you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't anymore. We start at the same time as you guys.
It's gonna make
a really long winter break.
School is whack.
Yeah. There goes another set of birds and vehicles.
Wait, so are you guys taking any summer classes then?
Yes.
What are you taking?
I am taking aerospace structures, aerospace propulsion, and aerodynamics.
Oh man.
So, you can guess what I'm studying.
I wonder who likes planes.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. Well, I wanted to learn about rockets, but
Just big space planes.
the universe is conspiring against me. I've spoken like someone who doesn't know what the difference between rockets and planes are.
You're exactly correct.
Yeah. No, I keep getting pushed into doing airplanes, but it's fine. I'm sure the skills are somewhat transferable.
Because they're just big space planes.
Oh my god.
Love some big space planes. I mean, small space planes. I know they're not big.
Well, relatively big. I mean, the biggest rocket is way bigger than the biggest plane, so...
That's not the plane part, is it?
Well, no, none of them are... I mean, there is nothing... I mean...
This is amusing me.
There really isn't a lot of similarity, which, now that you say that, is kind of freaking me out. There's very little similarity between... so the reason they're the same field is because rocket propulsion is a lot of the same as aerospace. Like, aerodynamics is applicable in rocket propulsion. It's not really... like.
But aren't they, like, cutting through the air, like, in a different manner?
Well, yeah, but the actual aerodynamics of a rocket are really, really, really low down on the list of priorities. Like, with missiles, it's more of a thing, but you're just going up.
It's just pure thrust, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's not nothing. That's why they're tubes instead of, squares, but...
Squares. Can you imagine some Minecraft rocket?
Square rocket.
Square blasting out into space.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a thing. And actually, one of my friends wants to go into advanced air-breathing rocket propulsion. So, like...
Minecraft rocket.
That, but it's not like... So, the way a plane works is you have a wing that provides lift. And that's like the key aerodynamic thing, is how to do that was the achievement that unlocked powered flight. Whereas for rockets, you just have a big, rocket on the bottom of it. And so that is the key challenge. And those two things are related in subtle ways, but they are two very, very distinct things. So to call a rocket a plane is incredibly incorrect.
What you're saying is that these don't really overlap that much at all.
Well, I mean, they do, and other parts. So, like, the structures overlap a lot. A lot of the design goals of, like, make it really light are the same. But, and like rocket, you can test rockets in a wind, like people do that for aerodynamics. But yeah, I mean, it's different. I don't know. I can't speak authoritatively on how similar they are because I've never built a rocket. So
planes are just dumb rockets.
What?
They're just dumb rockets.
What are just dumb rockets?
Planes.
No.
Planes.
You keep trying to make these one-to-one distinctions, and I don't think you're gonna succeed. But you're never gonna get me to shut up about it. So, yeah, I mean, I've discussed the difference, like, sort of, but yeah. Yeah.
Planes, automobiles, not rockets. Those are different.
So planes are airboats, kind of. Actually, that's not true. Planes are air hydrofoils.
I like the airboats better.
Planes are more similar to boats than they are to rocket, I think is fair. I don't know if that's true. Actual engineers in either field may disagree with me, but I'm gonna say that, and we'll see how long I can keep that up. And I do have a friend that is both an aerospace engineer and a marine architect engineer. So
Does that mean he makes boats?
yes. Yeah, because people made boats before people were engineers, and so it's not. I mean, marine engineering is a thing as well, but yeah, that's where architect comes from. I mean, I would say the people who made boats engineers just wasn't a job title, but that's semantic discussion. Anyway, yeah,
I feel like
it's fluid dynamics is a key to aerospace, and the fluid dynamics of airflow in the environment of a plane are relatively similar to that of the fluid dynamics in water, and not as similar to the fluid dynamics of rocket propulsion. Even though in some ways they are all fluid dynamics and thermodynamics is in there as well.
Ready?
What's up?
About how much of that did you follow? I just want to,
I mean, I've been here drawing my own conclusions in my own field, but planes are closer to boats than rockets is what I've gotten, and it's all very complicated.
That's about what I've got.
Yeah, like.
I apologize to the layman out there. I'm sorry I failed you. I'm just lost.
Yeah.
Again, like, I wish I could help translate, but as soon as I start applying shit, I get lost.
Is it really that difficult? Like, I don't know how inaccessible what I'm saying is right now. So, because I've been in this world for 3 years.
Yeah, I've learned that your world gets very skewed.
Yeah,
because
I don't know. Yeah, like, do you know what aerodynamics is?
All I hear is the word differential equation.
Like, I can tell you what,
Not
like,
really.
how that word was created, what that word means technically, but I don't know anything behind that.
Okay, then. So I'm gonna change the title of this podcast to Super Inaccessible One, where Stevie talks about aerospace engineering for 2 hours.
Checks out to me, honestly.
I mean, I'm down. I have opinions about everything, so I'm down to talk about something else. But I've been doing this stuff for like a week straight now, so or not a week straight, but that's just where my mind has been. So I just got done with lectures today, watching lectures.
Checking out with lectures?
That's where my head is. What?
Checking out?
Yeah. I mean, from Friday, so I'm not super behind, but yes. Yeah, doing homework, and then I work at the aerospace department. I have a position on a project team in the aerospace department, and I'm taking classes. So
Sounds like you got your hands full over there.
I'm gonna become a plane by the end of this.
Become a plane. Do you recall that one television show from back in like the 2000s where there was just like a plane, like an orange plane with a face on it?
Oh yeah, I made that horribly offensive meme that starred you on the Germany trip. Do you have any recollection of that, Marvin?
Yeah, I do. I think it was JJ the jet plane.
Yeah, and it was
yes.
Yeah.
That's whenever you guys had played in the last hour, that's what I've been thinking of in my head, and it's just really alarming.
JJ the jet plane.
Don't look it up.
This feels like very related to. Oh my god! Yeah.
Give yourself
like Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah.
Like, are they in the same universe or no?
Apologize.
There should be. There should be a crossover.
Probably was back in the day if you look hard enough.
I don't know. Well, because Thomas the Tank Engine is really like old and also British, so
that's
they probably
also
did...
nightmare fuel. If you look back at that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There are like crazy fan theories about the Thomas the Tank Engine universe.
Cars too.
Well, the concept of Cars they actually worked the face into the car.
Which is
JJ
better.
the jet plane and Thomas the Tank Engine who's like, yeah, just put a face on the thing.
It's like so like It's basically deep in the uncanny valley.
Yes. Yeah, and the technology wasn't there.
Like it was,
Thomas
there was
the
some
Tank
tech
Engine doesn't.
there.
I mean, I was really into Thomas the Tank Engine. It actually doesn't look that bad. I mean, because they put it on the like flat circular part of the train, so it kind of works. Like I still have a drawer full of wooden Thomas the Tank Engine trains, and I have tracks for it as well. So there's that.
What were you gonna say before?
So I just found a New Yorker article called "The Repressive Authoritarian Soul of Thomas the Tank Engine."
Yup.
What on earth?
I told you there was some crazy stuff about it.
What?
What?
Wait, like what?
I don't know.
Because is he
Oh my
actually
God,
like
George Carlin was the conductor.
What?
was a conductor?
Yeah, so there was the conductor voiced first by Ringo Starr of the Beatles,
I'm sorry,
and
what?
later by George Carlin.
Ringo acted?
I'd say act is a strong word, but yes.
Ringo is my favorite Beatle. That's set. That's set in stone.
Oh my God. Uh-oh, I can't scroll
What?
down.
That was overrated.
What the hell? We're just apologies to our listeners. We're all reading this story now. In this case, this is the sad story of Henry.
Oh, hello, Andrew.
Hello.
How late am I?
An hour.
Pretty late.
Pretty late.
Yeah.
Cool.
Talking about Thomas the Tank Engine.
That sounds like I missed a lot then, actually.
You missed all the technical parts. I was lost for about an hour, so don't worry.
Oh, good. Glad I didn't miss anything then.
There you go.
How's your hand doing?
Hold on. Give me a second to plug my headphones in.
What do you want?
So my hand. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, I mean, you're fine.
It's great.
Okay. So my hand developed an infection, and then I had to have another surgery on it last Friday to remove my pins early and like deal with the infection, I guess. But now it's doing pretty good. Yeah.
Escalated very, very quickly.
Went 0 to 100 to 0 real quick, but should be fine. Hopefully.
For now.
For now. Tony, I also had a question for you.
All right.
What dispensary are you going to?
Okay, first
We're bringing this podcast back into familiar territory.
Yeah. I'll
Bleep
tell you.
that.
I will. That's a strong question.
I was just back home for the first time in a while, and I didn't realize we had recreational. Well, I guess we can't really talk about this without like placing us, but
Yeah, maybe talk about this after we
we should like bleep
record.
this whole part out. My mistake, guys.
All right. Well,
Ziggy.
we'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk about this afterwards.
And cut here, editing Tony. Click. Cool.
Okay, I cut. What do you want to say?
Watch Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, so apparently there's an episode where one of the trains doesn't want to come out of his tunnel, and so they just wall him in with bricks and leave him there.
Is that an Edgar Allan
That's
Poe
the
reference?
whole episode. I don't think so. No, because in the cask of whatever, I can't pronounce it. But
Monty, yeah.
yeah, the one you're thinking of, which, by the way, I'm impressed we all just knew the story. He wants to kill him. And because he like kills his wife, and it's a revenge story or something.
Is that not what's going on here?
No, he just doesn't move. He's just like, I don't want to do it because the rain is gonna screw with my paint. And they're like, okay, if you don't move, we're gonna just kill you and leave you in there.
Wait,
and then
what?
And then he like blows his steam out of his whistle, and they ignore him. And then he runs out of steam, and then he dies.
What?
What?
And he doesn't die in the episode, but that's what it is.
I don't like that.
Hmm.
This is a kids show.
Kids got to learn. Life is hard. One day you don't want to go out in the rain. Your friends kill you.
Oh my god. Yep, so I'm never going outside again.
I feel like this is a bit of a stretch, I'm not gonna lie, but it's kind of wild.
I think kind of wild is an understatement.
Hmm.
It just seems kind of alarming.
Yeah, it's just kind of dark. And I mean, it's British, so it makes sense, but
I know they
it's
were British,
just
actually.
kind of, yeah. Yeah.
The Brits are coming with a lot of weird...
They have a very weird identity, which I find fascinating, but...
I feel like especially that era of, like...
Yeah, post-World War II.
The 70s and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But we got, the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the Who and the Rolling Stones, so I'm not going to complain.
And cocaine.
That's not from Britain, is it?
It's more Columbia.
Yeah, we got Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton just slapped.
Yeah, he also
Monty
wrote a
Python and the
song
Holy
called
Grail.
Cocaine.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah, we got Monty Python. Yeah, that's
That actually, yeah.
I feel like that's the other side of the coin that brought us Thomas the Tank Engine.
I feel like that's a different side altogether.
I don't know, like kids that grew up watching Thomas the Tank Engine found Monty Python funny.
Oh.
I'm completely lost in this conversation, not gonna lie.
I think it's a whole different coin.
I think,
Do you think it's a whole different coin?
It's a whole different currency.
I don't know.
I didn't even know Thomas the Tank Engine was British.
Well,
Well, you know, right?
Yeah,
because we're American, we don't have to.
I thought everything was American.
Yeah, we just assume that.
It's English, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like consuming non-American media has been good for me over the past few years.
So what's your favorite? So let's go. What is your favorite non-American media or medium, and then what non-American source is the one you go to most?
I'm gonna just be more specific with that, actually.
So what is your favorite non-American thing that you've consumed? Let's start with that.
Like a media object or food? Because
Like object. You said you've been consuming a lot of non-American media. What is your favorite one of that?
I think Asian animated television.
You could just say anime, Marvin. We don't know what you're talking about.
That implies Japan, and that's just inaccurate.
That's true.
Is
Yeah.
is at once superior and also way the fuck more weird
Yeah.
American animation. There's a lot more breadth.
In Japanese or in non-Jap, like if you get outside Japan, there's more.
Like
breadth.
outside America, honestly.
Oh.
I feel like
Well,
America.
yeah.
The West is just now getting into like adult animation, like Archer, BoJack, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of a more recent thing, whereas in the beginning of like the 2000s, it was more for like kids.
Yeah, I mean, The Simpsons has been around since 1989, but yes, apart from that, yes, I see that.
I guess like, what the fuck's the show called? Family Guy, I guess. Too.
What? Oh yeah,
Family Guy.
Yeah, Family Guy. Yeah.
South Park.
But yeah.
How long has South Park been
Well,
around?
South Park is not
Pretty
for
juvenile.
adults, it's for teenagers. Yeah.
I feel like South Park kind of holds up though.
Like
Mhm.
not only
I mean,
not only comedies, but just like
Yeah.
serious like,
Yeah,
like
actually,
dramas.
Yeah, people assume animation is comedy or for kids as opposed to. So yeah, no, I think that's totally right. I have a
Like,
I am still
so
in
much
the mold
more,
of
like,
it's weird, but
So much
Actually-
more like you do with like drawings, as opposed to like there's certain
Yeah.
things you can't do with like live action stuff,
yeah,
like just like excessive CG. I
Yeah.
think the ability to like draw your own scenes is really conducive to like creativity.
Avatar.
Exactly. They haven't made another one since. F is good.
No, they haven't.
We'll argue Cora, but he's right. Or Shane, you're not here, so you can't.
I wanted to like Legend of Korra so much, and I just couldn't. Oh my god, I gave it so much of my heart, and it just didn't. It's just nothing.
I apologize. We've lost Tony and Andrew wholeheartedly.
Well, you guys were having a side conversation, and I was muting myself so I could eat.
What are you eating?
I'm actually eating chips and cheese dip from a local restaurant that I won't name because I learned my lesson.
All right.
Delivering?
No, God, I waited outside for 2 hours. It was really bad. That's why I was late.
Wait. Hold on, Tiff. Look down for a second.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, how long have we been doing this for?
You mean this episode?
Good
Yeah.
taste.
A little
Taste
over,
It's very
or
good.
around an hour.
All right. I'm good to cut because I feel like what this episode was for the last hour is we are at the limit. So I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to go eat dinner. And I mean, I guess if you guys want to keep going, but
I don't know. I'm good to stop this one a little early.
Yeah, we've been on it for a while.
yeah. All right.
Andrew.
Do you want to do a sign out? Yeah. Well, let's pause so we can cut around a lot of this, if you don't mind, Tony.
I think. Well, let's just do our recommendations and get the hell out.
Okay.
We do one take, no cuts in this household.
Apparently we do. All right. Someone else go first. I don't have. Oh, I do, but someone else go first.
I mean, I already did mine. I said Matt Parker, the YouTube guy, math dude.
All right. I would echo that, and also say the Number File YouTube channel more broadly. If you're into that kind of content.
I have beef with Number File.
You don't like Number File?
No.
Hold on, we gotta settle this. What happened?
Here we go.
So they had a bullshit episode about how the sum of all real numbers is equal to -1/12.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit.
No, like it's a cool channel and I like them, but I can't recommend them now. Like if anyone goes and finds them on their own, sure. But like, no, I lost a lot of respect for them after that one. Like there are ways you can go about showing that result, but the way they did it is not rigorous at all.
Oh, Number File. If you'd like to come on and defend yourself, do so. I'd be really entertained. I'll get the popcorn.
Brady, come at us.
Dude, if any of those people from Number File came out against me, I would get stomped so hard.
Yeah,
somebody tweet them.
I'm aware. That's why I'm goading them.
It'd be really funny. Somebody tweet them.
I'll tweet them. I don't know what their Twitter account is, but yeah, I will get at them. Everybody get at them.
All right. So, would you like to recommend something that's actually good?
All right. So I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer on.
One more time.
For the people in the back.
Okay. I have started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Hulu. You get it that time?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an interesting show. It's by Joss Whedon. I think it was one of his first shows, which you may know him as the guy who directed the Adventure movie. So it's really clever and like funny, and it's very bizarre. I don't know. Have any of you guys heard of it before?
I've heard of it.
My parents like it.
Yeah, it's really good. It was a big deal in the early 90s. This first season was in 1996, so it's relatively old. But so basically the shtick is like, what if the kind of ditzy blonde girl that gets killed in the first 5 minutes of every movie was actually like the chosen
survive
one?
the longest.
Well, in Jaws, she gets killed, and there's other examples. But so the point is, she is like that, but also has not a bunch of superpowers. But it's like the chosen one, and has to kill a bunch of vampires, and other demons. So it's kind of a monster. I prefer the monster week one. Get to have fun with the characters, but the first season is not very good. Like if you want to get to the second season, you can, but I'm not even done with the second season, and I'm like, this is one of the best television. seen. So, the characters that get introduced in like the second or third episode of the second season, just the best, and then the core crew of Buffy and her friends are great as well. So, it's a little weirdly like sexy, given that they're all high school students, which is kind of weird to watch as not a high school
when
student
we were in high
anymore.
school.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like
We've all been
I'm
high schools
okay
before.
with it, but yeah, I'm sure if I was 16, it would be my favorite show of all time. But yeah. Also, so the only other thing, and I honestly don't assume this will bother any of you guys, but so the guy who writes it considers himself a feminist, and his ex-wife who he cheated on does not, and that tension is somewhat evident in how he writes the show, because it is, and it's been like accepted as a pretty important piece of literature in terms of having a really, really empowered female character, but there are some very uncomfortable bits as well. So if that's something you're looking for, be prepared that it hasn't aged spotlessly, although it is still pretty good and still pretty. I mean, she still is pretty ass kicking. So yeah. So that's my recommendation.
Hi there, I'm a feminist. It's the wife that you cheated on.
Look, he just likes all women equally, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Except that bitch Karen.
I'm
Except
willing
that
to
bitch Carol
hold.
Madison.
All right.
Oh boy.
That'll
Marvin
be our
or
next.
Andrew?
That'll be our next podcast. Is 6 dudes discuss feminism?
No, we're not doing that.
Marvin, do you have one?
There's some great like pop neo soul music out there.
Hey, can you break down what
Jacob
that genre
Banks.
is? Pop neo soul.
It's like soul music, but like with like a pop influence, and it's like not like traditional soul music.
Okay.
Like Jacob Banks, Leon Bridges, Burnett, kind of. Shit out there.
All
Gotta
right.
look for it.
Tiff, you got something?
So I've literally just been scrolling through my phone looking for any kind of like new media that I've consumed. But since it was finals week and me moving, I really have put, like no thought into this. But the song Righteous by Juice WRLD was released, I want to say like a month, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't even know. But Juice WRLD passed away this year. And it was released actually post-mortem. And I think it's pretty good,
Cool. I want to say your very first recommendation was I can't remember what the song was called, but it was a song.
King Park?
King Park, yeah. And I didn't listen to it for a while, and I finally got around to it, and it was a fantastic song. So
amazing song.
Good rec.
It's not my genre I like. So, and keep in mind, the song I'm recommending today is not even like at all related to it, but I think it's good.
Shit.
Cool.
All right. Well, I don't know. This has been a wild one. I guess we'll see you guys
this has
next
been a
time.
while. Yeah, definitely post the one previously by Wednesday.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Because I like listening to these. I think I may be our only regular listener, but I actually do go back and listen to it. So
All right.
I'm thirsty for content. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.